I returned to Swansea, searching for the homeless people I'd met here 15 months ago. Most had moved on, like the homeless drifter, Paul.
Didn't I tell you good things happened to me? Paul Bell.
He'd gone back on the road, roving across Britain, and I had no idea where he was now. And sadly, Lee was no longer with us.
I can't cope anymore. I'm 43, man.
His was yet another story of a homeless person dying as a result of a drug overdose. 15 months ago, Tracy's life was on a downward spiral because of her alcohol problems, and she was sleeping rough.
I'm on my own living on the street. I just wish things could change, but they can't. Because I'm under destroying my life. Now I'm aware, I have no friends, I'm living on the street. Trying to get into hostels and that all the time.
But now she's turned her life around. For the last 8 months, she's been living in a residential centre where she's getting the help she needs. 2 Christmases ago, I met another homeless drinker, Tim.
I love it. I love to have my kids up there and say, look what you're seeing. You're seeing Wales. I am delirious. It is beautiful. Homeless people, do they have Christmas? I will never have a Christmas sleeping on the streets.
15 months have passed since then, and now it's much colder. Nighttime temperatures have dropped to below freezing. And this was our first sight of Tim. "20 years ago, he left his family in Ireland. They couldn't cope with his alcoholism. Now he remains haunted by his failure to get off the booze.
It's not a nice way to be. No. And I apologise. I apologise to myself and my 2 daughters. And, oh, I might as well say it, and my wife. They're back in Ireland. I know I can get back there. But it'll take me a bit of time. I don't want to leave here, though. I will leave in a box. And that's not the way to go. Excuse me.
It was sad to meet Tim again, but his story would later take a dramatic turn. Next, we stumbled across another of our friends from over a year ago. He'd travelled across Europe, only to finally end up as one of Swansea's homeless.
Georgica!
It was Romanian economic migrant Georgica.
Happy New Year! How are you? Good, thank you! Flat. Very good. You're flat. Homeless 3 years. Thank you very much, Chrissy. Thank you very much, Missy. Thank you very much, people Welsh. Very good, Swansea.
15 months ago, we found him sleeping anywhere he could, even in the loft of a rundown bedsit. Unable to claim benefits, he made ends meet by selling the Big Issue magazine. But now, a year on, what had changed?
Come on, Chris.
Where are we going?
House, please. Come on, please.
For years, Georgica had been in Swansea, sleeping wherever he could. Now, finally, he had somewhere to call home.
Bag. Here, DVD.
He wanted to show off his cosy bedsit.
Fridge. Clinic.
I realised his life had changed since the first series. He'd actually become a local celebrity.
Gheorghiza, office big issue, paper. Apinuies, Swansea.
Georgica captured the hearts of the Swansea people, who now regularly bought the big issue from him, ensuring he'll continue having a roof over his head.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye, lady.
He's one of the lucky ones. There are many reasons why people end up homeless in Swansea. They come from the surrounding valleys because there's more help on offer here. It's also at the end of the railway line, and many simply step off the train and stay. That perhaps explains why the city has the highest numbers of homeless people in Wales. It was the ferry from Cork that originally brought Tim here. In this weather, he's always on the move.
See, when you're walking, well, you stay in one place. The cold will get to you. And it's not a nice feeling. When I need a drink, I need a drink.
He's on his way across town to replenish his booze supply.
Oh. Thank you very much. You're a gentleman.
Carry back.
Tim became homeless because of his alcoholism, but now drinking has become a way of blanking out the harsh realities of living on the streets.
Timothy Jack.
Tonight, the best place to make a few pounds is on Wine Street, begging to help pay for his habit. Tim's not the only one who's had a drink or two.
You can spare a bit of change, man.
Of course I can, mate. Yeah.
Oh, you're a... Do you know what you are?
Get some food, like,
Oh, you're a gentleman.
But the police don't think he's a gentleman,
Oh, wait 1 minute now.
and they confiscate his bottle.
27 now.
Oh,
Yeah, mate,
Christ.
stand me up, man. You know you can't drink in town, yeah?
Yes, I know
What's your
that.
date of birth?
17 to 2nd, 57.
And what's your address?
No fixed aboard.
Tim is being given an order preventing drunken disorderly conduct. It's called a Section 27, banning him from the city centre. It's almost a weekly occurrence.
Contributes towards antisocial behaviour, all right?
Ah, you know I don't do that.
You're going to be banned from the city centre as per the map, all right?
Okay, I'm used to that.
Give you a copy of the map now as well, all right?
I know the map. You don't have to give me a copy of it.
All right, there's that.
Okay, man. I'm heading off. Okay. Bastards. Me. I'm out of town for 12 hours. For what? I've done nothing. And they're all dancing around the streets. I get 12 hour bearing order. And would you think that's fair?
Now, he won't be able to sleep by the only source of warmth in the city centre.
Where am I going to go for 12 hours? Can anyone tell me where to go? I have to go away and find somewhere that I can sleep.
I've discovered that especially after Christmas, people could find themselves unexpectedly homeless when family pressures result in relationship breakdowns. 21-year-old Ben has been sleeping rough.
I slept in that doorway. I've climbed over that fence, and I slept behind the wall behind there. And not many people come down here unless they come for a taxi. So it's kind of safe. And there's an exit that way and that way. So if I ever get into trouble, I know I can run and just disappear.
After a relationship breakdown, Ben went to stay with a friend, but they just didn't get on.
Me and the guy I was staying with had a falling out. and he threatened to hit me and asked me to go. I left, and I ain't been back since.
He told me he couldn't stay with his family, and with no money, the alternative was living on Swansea's streets, which he was frightened to do.
I get a lot of people when I'm walking around, if anyone, shouting, oh, you better watch him, he's gay. And it's like, well, get a grip, it's the 21st century, who cares?
Over the weekend, Ben slept rough. In the morning, he went to see one of the homeless charities, and luckily, they paid for a night at a bed and breakfast.
I wasn't expecting to be in a B&B tonight. I was expecting to be back up there and getting nowhere and just roaming. Finally to be here and safe and know I'm safe. It's pretty good.
There is still no permanent emergency shelter for Swansea's homeless. But when temperatures drop below 5 degrees, there's special government funding that will help pay for B&Bs.
I checked out this morning, so wherever they put me now, they put me. But where that will be, I don't know.
Ben has to report to Swansea's Access Point charity if he wants the B&B again. He's here to see Jenny, his support worker.
Hi Ben, do you want to come in?
Hello.
All right.
Yeah.
Take a seat. I think I found something for you.
Oh, slaughtered.
She's found a bedsit that might be a solution for Ben.
Right, it's a private rental that's come up. It's poor tenant. Private landlord I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Viewing will be tomorrow, and if you like it, you can have the keys.
Right,
Get you sorted.
where will I be?
Probably
staying
tonight it'll have to be B&B again.
Right, okay.
He's got the B&B, as well as the prospect of somewhere permanent.
I wasn't expecting that. Finally. Get my life sorted now. I'll have a key, hopefully tomorrow, which is brilliant.
But for others, getting off the streets seems impossible, especially if they are trapped in a cycle of addiction. I ran into Tim on his daily mission to buy cheap booze. He's teamed up with a true Swansea Jack, 32-year-old Scott.
All right, you boss, only the till.
Outside, the other drinkers are after Scott and Tim's booze.
Shall I?
Tim, everybody's following you now. Why is
No, don't ask me.
They have their eyes on Tim's bottle. It's the unwritten rule of living on the streets to share what little they have. But Tim and Scott are fed up with being hit on.
It's like vultures, man.
For years, Scott has been dossing wherever he can. When he runs out of friends prepared to put him up, he has to sleep rough. He's from Town Hill, a community that suffered more than its fair share of unemployment and drug problems. Scott told me he was married for 5 years and has a young son, but the relationship failed. The rest, sadly, is history.
I've been on the streets now since I was, 15, 16. I was on drugs all my life. Smoked cannabis time I was 12. And by the time I turned 21 then, I was on heroin. And the story is now, my mother got my son, which I'm not allowed to see at the moment because I'm an alcoholic.
His dad, though, was always there for him. But that changed last year.
Yeah, I lost my father 6, 7 months ago. Broke my heart, to be honest with you. I'm on antipsychotic tablets. I won't take them more. I want to do it natural. I did try to hang myself. I'm about them. I'm a lost person, to be honest with you. That's why I'm in a worse state than I've ever been in.
Scott and Tim will be far safer if they stick together for the night.
What are you doing?
Put his hood back on.
Why?
Because I got respect for the man.
It's one thing he have.
Can't anyone... You might be trans, but look as good as you can. What's wrong with that? Sure, back where it blows. I'll show a proper home. Make it home.
It never ceased to amaze me how, in such desperate circumstances, the homeless come up with ingenious solutions to survive. Scott's shelter is built around one of the few sources of warmth.
Done it all over Christmas. There we are. The car was done. That is easy. Sitting there. I haven't made it properly up.
No, we can do that later on.
I haven't brought it down properly. And this is our home. This is lovely. The car over there now. Lovely. Heat bouncing off us into our face. What more do you want? But the only problem is, when this is up, we can't beg.
Oh, ladies, you're looking beautiful. I am not a tramp. I'm a bum.
So what I'm trying to say, a bum is a bum who just bums around. Because our clothes are just a bit cleaner. We're not tramps. We're just bums.
I found the whole situation quite surreal.
Wait 1 minute, don't insult me like that now.
The pair having a laugh, yet they were about to face a freezing night out on the streets.
Spare any change, please. I'm behind the pen.
Almost a third of those released from prison have nowhere to live, and without help, they soon end up in trouble. Rhiannon and Richard are just out, and both are of no fixed abode, so the council have to house them. Temporarily, they've been put in a B&B, which is where they got together just 4 days ago.
Because we're in the same bed and breakfast, but, you know, we've been spending time together and sort of helping each other out. It's nice to have somebody with you, like, you know, and to know, like, you know, that you're not on your own.
Whilst in jail, Rhiannon got help for her drug addiction, but now she's back on the streets where heroin is easily available.
I've only been out of prison for 2 weeks and, you know, I've started using a little bit again and stuff. I just don't want it to spiral out of control, you know?
Addicts can spend up to £80 a day feeding their habit.
Some girls find it easy, like, you know, to earn money, like, you know, because they do business with men and stuff like that, like, but I don't know, I just can't do it myself, like, you know? It's a bit of a pain in the arse, you know, walking around, like, yeah, when you're skint and trying to find money and, you know, it's hard, like, you know, right?
Most of the cost of Rhiannon's B&B is paid directly from her benefits, but she's already behind paying her share.
Because I can't afford the service charge for down in the B&B. I know it's only £16 a week, but we haven't had our money sorted yet. So when I went into housing options earlier on, she said, look, if you don't pay this by next week, you know, we're going to have to chuck you out, like.
It was a brief encounter with Rhiannon. A few days later, she disappeared.
I seen a couple of people I know in town and they said that she'd been arrested. So I went to the magistrate court the next morning to see if she was on in court, but her name wasn't there. I went to the police station, they said that she wasn't there either, and then I heard this morning that she's back in prison.
For those leaving prison with no home to go to and no family to support them, this spiral of rapid decline was a familiar story. Falling back into drug taking and then not being able to cope with the realities of life on the outside. These were very different times to when we were filming here 15 months ago. Now the effects of the recession are hitting Swansea hard. The level of local resentment seemed to be growing against the homeless, who are easy targets.
They're giving him an allowance every day to get pissed.
Tonight, Tim's in the firing line.
You come over here because it's easier to be a bum over here than any other country. And
I
if you-
wouldn't think so.
Well, you're here.
I will.
Well, go back to your daughters. Your daughters, let them look after you. Not my tax.
They're married, man.
My tax is paying for term-led people and
No,
people like
you're
you
not
trapped.
paying for me.
Well, why are you here?
I came over a woman,
They all do. It's drink. Why don't you stay in Ireland?
but I like it here.
Yeah, because they're paying you money for drink. My tax is paying for term-led people and people
No,
like
you're
you
not
trapped.
paying for me.
You're a layabout.
Well, at this stage, that's what I'm called.
58. At what point are you going to stop being a layabout? Do you want to die like that?
No, and
You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace, and I got no time for you.
Okay, thank you.
That's terrible, man.
That's right.
No, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth.
This kind of abuse has become more common, but Tim may not have to put up with it for much longer. I'd heard his circumstances were about to change.
You've decided to try and settle down a bit now, haven't you?
Yes, sir, I have. I have the house keys.
Sure, man.
They're there.
I could hardly believe it. After all these years, he'd finally got somewhere to live. And with the weather getting worse, it was a relief he was finally off the streets.
Oh, this is the front room. And I'll show you upstairs then, if you're good and ready.
The three-bedroom house will eventually be home to 3 tenants, and Tim's the first.
This is 1 bedroom. There's sleeping bags here. They're not belong to me, so I shall not use them.
He told me he knew the previous tenants, and they passed on the tenancy to him. All he had to do was sign the papers, allowing the landlord to claim his housing benefit directly.
After 17 years on the streets, this is like a palace. It's a nice place. No one comes near us. We says nothing to no one.
But Tim doesn't like the idea of leaving his buddies out in the cold, so he's putting them up for free. And they're all living in one room.
So tell us, Tim, where do you sleep?
Just there. And there's 3 bedrooms upstairs. I don't wish to use them.
We all trust each other.
Yeah, because otherwise...
We have no reason to sleep in separate rooms.
And it's cold upstairs, ain't it?
It's as if they were still living on the streets, but indoors.
That's true.
Despite having somewhere to live, Tim still likes to spend most of his days walking round the city. But there's a problem. His new home is out of town in Llansamlet.
About 6 or 7 miles, man.
Well, put it this way, it takes Tim 3 hours to walk there and back.
How would you normally get there?
I'll have a bag or sleep on the street. Tim, we're gonna have to go to work, mush.
Yeah, know what I mean?
With the last bus gone, they begged to raise the money for a taxi home.
Excuse me, lads. You couldn't spare a bit of change at all, please? Hello, lads. Could you spare a bit of change?
Can you wait till I go to the shop?
A bit of change, please.
I can't do it.
It's hard work.
I sit down and beg. He walks and begs.
Jesus.
I'm touched by how protective Scott is.
Who else is gonna do it? I wanna see a 57-year-old man get battered. So I gotta watch him, haven't I?
Excuse me, ladies. You couldn't spare a bit of change, huh?
I don't have any change on me.
They are a long way short of the taxi fare back to Llansamlet.
How are you doing, Tim? How much money you got?
About 5 or 6 quid.
Tim jumped at the chance of getting out of the cold, but it seemed to me he hadn't grasped how it would really work out. When we filmed here 15 months ago, few landlords were willing to risk opening their doors to the homeless. Now, because of the recession, it seemed there was no shortage of rentals at the bottom end of the property market. For many, like Ben, it's an alternative to waiting on the council's housing list.
I'm going to view a property and hopefully I can get the keys and move straight in.
right in the heart of the city, Ben has the chance of a bedsit.
If the place is good, and then, yeah, it's a new break for me. I can sort my life out.
Fridge, cooker, sink as well, 2 showers, 2 toilets.
I like this.
So we can move you in here today?
Brilliant. That'd be cracking.
Yes.
Yeah. Fab.
Brilliant. So
Brilliant.
just do the housing benefit forms and away we go.
And away we go, yeah.
And the landlord isn't even asking for a bond. That's money held in case the tenant damages the property.
No problem at all. Welcome.
Finally have my own place.
Back on Swansea streets, Tim is sleeping rough again. He's lost his house. The landlord came round to find no sign of him, just his mates living there. None were paying the rent, and Tim blames them.
Just 2 spoiled it for me. When the landlord came along and he had to look at the place, couldn't find me because I was inside in town. And all in one day, I lost the house and ye seen it.
I discovered that the average life expectancy for homeless alcoholics is just 47. And Tim's 10 years past that. He's clearly living on borrowed time. Since I was here over a year ago, the prospects for Swansea's homeless are much bleaker. And the charities who help them warn of even more difficult times to come. Next time back on Swansea streets, now in the snow, even those with no choice but to sleep rough have to find some kind of shelter.
Every time I find something, things are working out right for me, then things go spiraling out of control.
We catch up with Paul Bell. Since he left Swansea, he's roved 1,000 miles all over Britain.
I'm 50 this year, and I'm still going to keep on shuffling. Can't keep still.
And we meet sofa surfing Susan, who's been turfed out.
Fair play the gentleman, like, calling, yeah, pump me up. Where am I going to go now? After that, where am I going to go up on the streets?
This is Swansea continues this Friday.